accident while on their way to visit her in St. Louis. The law firm of Finch, and Warburton had been named executors of the estate. "There were a great number of debts to be settled. Your mother—" His voice trailed off. "My mother was very extravagant," Iris said for him. "Unfortunately, she was a good deal more extravagant than your father could afford." "I don't understand." Her parents had never given her any indication that money wasn't as plentiful as ever. "A year ago, your father borrowed a large sum against the ranch. Unfortunately, he never made any of the payments on the loan. Your mother's jewelry collection, which, judging from this inventory, would have been extensive enough to pay off the debt, was lost in the accident." His expression turned grave. "I still own the ranch, don't I?" Iris asked. She felt a hard knot in her stomach. She knew it was nerves, but it wouldn't go away. Instead, it seemed to grow with each agonizing minute. "Unless you can make up the back payments within 4 months, the bank will repossess the ranch. I don't know if the contents of your home are still intact, but I have reports that your herd is being ravaged by rustlers. I suggest you go home and do what you can to secure your inheritance while there's still something to salvage." Any intention Iris might have had of turning to her city friends had died unborn. It was as though an announcement of her situation had appeared in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch with the morning coffee. By evening, Iris had become persona non grata in at least 10 places where she had been welcomed the day before. Swearing she would return to St. Louis as their equal or not at all, Iris shook the dust of that city off her feet. But the dust of Texas had proven even less hospitable. The contents of the house were safe, but the banker proved obdurate. No words would move him. Either she found the money on time or she would lose the ranch. All the while, rustlers continued to eat away at her herd. Iris grew desperate. Her entire future depended on that herd. If she sold it, the money would soon be gone and she'd be penniless. If she didn't do something soon, rustlers would take every last cow and she'd be penniless anyway. And even if she managed to keep the herd, in a month, she wouldn't have a ranch to put them on. In her desperation, she thought of Monty. Now he was coming to meet her, but just by looking at the way he rode so stiffly in the saddle, the fixed expression on his face, the way he slowed his horse to a deliberate walk, she could tell she would have only one chance to convince him to help her. She also could tell he meant to say no. She was waiting for him. Monty Randolph pulled back so hard on Nightmare's mouth the gelding squealed in protest. But in the act of turning away, he changed his mind. This was the 3rd time Iris had attempted to waylay him. If she was anything like her mother, she would only become more determined. He might as well find out what she wanted, tell her no, and get rid of her. Look at her, wearing a dress that'd be torn to shreds if she walked so much as 50 yards through the brush. Doesn't she know she's back in Texas? Iris had tied her horse to the hitching post and was resting on a bench George had had built in a grove of young pecan trees transplanted from the creek. At 19, she was an enchanting sight, one guaranteed to make any man's heart beat a little faster. She was beautiful, perfect, with just enough fullness to her lips and roundness to her cheeks to add a definite touch of sensuality. Her hair would stop people in their tracks and cause them to stare. There couldn't be another woman in the state of Texas with hair of such an overpowering red. The sunlight bouncing off it was enough to cause a stampede. Equally arresting, her eyes were a deep shade of green. There was nothing immodest about the dress she wore, but it clung to her body in a manner that would have caused the matrons of Austin to click their tongues. Monty vowed to show her nothing but indifference. But his body, his pounding blood, belied his intentions. At the sight of her full breasts pushing against the cloth of her bodice, he could feel a heavy, tight sensation beginning low in his groin. His hands ached to reach out and touch their firm softness. Willing his body not to betray the tension that stretched his nerves until they ached, Monty slowed his horse to a walk.